Welcome to the Real Crime Diary, Daily Dose of Crime. I'm Sean Dupree, and today we're diving into a case that's shaking the foundations of hip-hop and the justice system alike. The Young Thug YSL RICO trial isn't just another celebrity court drama, it's a complex web of allegations that blur the lines between art and crime. As someone who's seen both sides of the justice system, I can't help but be fascinated by the intricate dance between prosecution and defense in this case. It's a stark reminder of how quickly the tables can turn, how a record label can be painted as a criminal enterprise overnight. So, buckle up, crime enthusiasts. We're about to unravel a story that challenges our perceptions of music, law, and the sometimes blurry line between them. Trust me, this is one case that'll make you question everything you think you know about justice and artistic expression. The Young Thug YSL RICO case is a legal labyrinth that's got everyone talking. At its core, we've got Young Thug facing charges under Georgia's RICO Act. Now, for those who don't know, RICO was originally designed to take down organized crime, but here we are, using it against a record label. The prosecution's saying that YSL, or Young Stoner Life, isn't just about the music, they're claiming it's a front for Young Slime Life, an alleged street gang. They've thrown the book at Thug, accusing him of everything from drug trafficking to murder. But here's where it gets sticky, they're using his own lyrics as evidence. It's a move that's got a lot of people, myself included, raising eyebrows. I mean, where do we draw the line between art and confession? Having seen both sides of the system, I can tell you it's not always black and white. These prosecutors are painting Thug as the mastermind, the puppet master pulling all the strings. But anyone who's been around knows that life, and especially life on the streets, is rarely that simple. This case isn't just about Young Thug. It's about how we interpret art, how we define criminal organizations, and ultimately, how we balance public safety with freedom of expression. It's a tightrope walk, and believe me, I've seen what happens when that balance tips too far in either direction. Let's dive into the heart of this case, the evidence and witness testimonies. It's a tangled web, folks, and one that's got both sides scrambling. The prosecution's case hinges on a mountain of evidence, everything from text messages and social media posts to those controversial song lyrics. They're painting a picture of YSL as more than just a record label, but as a criminal enterprise with Young Thug at the helm. But here's where it gets tricky. The defense is fighting tooth and nail against using those lyrics as evidence. It's a fine line between art and reality, and I've seen firsthand how easy it is to blur that line when you're looking at someone through the lens of suspicion. Now, let's talk witnesses. Over 400 of them are lined up, including former YSL associates who've taken plea deals. It's a double-edged sword, really. These insiders might have the goods, but their credibility is on shaky ground. I've been on both sides of those deals, and let me tell you, the pressure to say what the prosecution wants to hear is real. And then there's the witness protection issue. It's been a nightmare, with leaks and safety concerns causing major delays. It's a stark reminder of the very real dangers that come with testifying in high-profile cases like this. All of this paints a picture of a case that's as complex as it is controversial. It's got me thinking about the nature of loyalty, the power of words, and the fine line between justice and overreach. But what do you think? Is this a necessary crackdown on crime, or a dangerous precedent for artistic expression? The Young Thug YSL RICO trial has been a legal roller coaster, with more twists and turns than a Hollywood thriller. We're talking about a case that's been dragging on for over 140 days, folks. That's nearly half a year in court, and we're still nowhere near the finish line. Let's break down some of the hurdles this trial has faced. First off, we've seen judges recusing themselves left and right. Judge Ural Glanville stepped down, then his replacement, Judge Shukura Ingram, had to bow out too. Why? Well, it turns out a court deputy had a personal relationship with one of the defendants. Talk about a small world, huh? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The defense has filed over 45 motions for mistrial. That's right, 45. I've seen cases fall apart for less, believe me. These motions cite everything from procedural failures to evidence mismanagement. It's like watching a legal game of whack-a-mole. Every time one issue gets resolved, another pops up. And let's not forget the strain this puts on everyone involved. The defendants, the lawyers, even the jury. Imagine putting your life on hold for months, maybe years, just to sit in a courtroom day after day. It wears you down, makes you question everything. I've been there, and let me tell you, it's not a picnic. This case is a prime example of how our justice system can get bogged down in its own complexities. It's a reminder that justice isn't always swift, and sometimes, the process itself becomes the punishment. The Young Thug YSL RICO case isn't just about one rapper or one record label. It's shaking the foundations of hip-hop culture as we know it. This trial could set a dangerous precedent for how the justice system interprets artistic expression. I've seen firsthand how the system can misunderstand and misrepresent cultural nuances. When prosecutors use lyrics as evidence, they're not just building a case, they're potentially criminalizing an entire art form. It's a slippery slope that could have artists second-guessing every word they write. But it goes deeper than that. This case blurs the lines between persona and person, between art and reality. In my time, I've met plenty of people who put on a tough exterior but had hearts of gold. And I've met others who seemed squeaky clean but were rotten to the core. It's not always black and white. The outcome of this trial could change how record labels operate, how artists express themselves, and even how we consume music. It's forcing us to confront uncomfortable questions about authenticity in hip-hop and the price of keeping it real. As someone who's lived on both sides of the law, I can tell you, the truth is rarely simple, and the consequences of this case will echo far beyond the courtroom. As we approach the 150-day mark of this trial, the courtroom has become a pressure cooker of tension and surprises. Just last week, Antonio Sledge, a key witness who took a plea deal, found himself behind bars after his testimony crumbled under cross-examination. It's a stark reminder of how fragile these cases can be when built on the backs of plea bargains. But that's not all, folks. The prosecution's been stumbling too, accidentally revealing information about prior incarcerations that the jury wasn't supposed to hear. It's amateur hour stuff that's got the defense firing off mistrial motions left and right. Now, word on the street is that plea deal offers might be floating Young Thug's way. But let me tell you, having seen both sides of the coin, those offers can be a double-edged sword. They might look tempting when you're staring down the barrel of a lengthy trial, but they come with their own set of chains. As for how this might all shake out, we could be looking at anything from a mistrial to a plea bargain, or even pushing through to a verdict. But one thing's for sure, this case is redefining the relationship between art and crime in ways that'll echo through courtrooms for years to come. As we wrap up our deep dive into the Young Thug YSL RICO trial, I can't help but reflect on the profound questions this case raises about justice, artistic expression, and the intricate nature of human behavior. It's a stark reminder of how thin the line can be between art and reality, between persona and person. The use of lyrics as evidence in this trial challenges us to consider where we draw the boundaries of artistic freedom. Is every word an artist pens a reflection of their true intentions, or are we potentially criminalizing creativity? This case also forces us to confront the complexities of our justice system. The delays, the plea deals, the procedural hurdles, they all paint a picture of a system struggling to balance fairness with efficiency. It's a dance I've seen play out time and time again, from both sides of the courtroom. What are your thoughts on this case? How do we ensure justice while protecting artistic expression? I'd love to hear your perspectives. After all, understanding the human element in crime and justice is a lifelong journey, one that I'm committed to exploring with you, our listeners. Until next time, this is Sean Dupree, signing off from The Real Crime Diary.
Hey listeners, welcome back to The Real Crime Diary. I'm your host, Sean Dupree. If you tuned in last time, we had a deep dive into the disturbing history of power abuse across different eras, looking at the connection between dominance, control, and how it plays out even today. We touched on scandals from the past and compared them with some modern-day examples, showing how these patterns of abuse, unfortunately, persist. One of the most insightful tools we've explored to understand this is my book, Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's not just a historical account, but an interdisciplinary approach to understanding why this keeps happening. We draw from history, philosophy, and modern case studies to explain how figures like Dominique Pellico, Harvey Weinstein, and others have exploited their positions of power for their own gain, often protected by the very systems meant to stop them. Recap of last interaction. In our last live stream, we discussed how libertinism, philosophically introduced by figures like Marquis de Sade, has shaped the way power and pleasure have been entangled throughout history. This concept ties directly into how figures like Weinstein operated, as we saw parallels between Desaad's fictional characters and the way powerful men manipulated their victims in real life. You guys had some amazing comments, asking how societal structures have allowed these behaviors to go unchecked for so long. It's a crucial question, and one that the book addresses deeply. Why this book is valuable. Now, what's powerful about Power, Pleasure, and Pain is its ability to break down these historical patterns and link them to the present. You're not just reading about ancient Rome or Enlightenment philosophy, you're seeing how these ideologies are alive today. The book uncovers how sexual violence and control have been systematically woven into the fabric of societies from ancient times right up to the modern era. It's about understanding not just the individual predators, but the systems that protect them, whether it's in royal courts, religious institutions, or today's corporate and entertainment worlds. Through these historical lenses, we also explore movements like #MeToo that are beginning to dismantle these structures. The fight for justice is far from over, but as the book demonstrates, we are in the midst of a cultural shift where legal reforms are finally addressing these long-standing issues. It's more than a history lesson. It's a guide to understanding and supporting change today. What's next? If you want to dive deeper, I suggest picking up Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's available now, and trust me, it will change the way you think about power, pleasure, and control. We've even got some exclusive content coming up on the channel where we'll be exploring the book's case studies in even more detail, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to The Real Crime Diary so you don't miss any updates. Let's keep this conversation going, because understanding the past is key to changing the future.